The battle lines are drawn just days after Australian Prime Minister Kevin Rudd unveiled his plan for stopping people smuggling. Opposition leader Tony Abbott has come up with his own initiative. Asylum seekers have dominated Australian politics like few other issues in recent times. Mr Rudd's idea is to consign all asylum seekers heading for Australia to Papua New Guinea. Mr Abbott would militarise border protection and put a general in charge. Some former military figures support the idea, but a former Australian Defence chief has poured cold water on the proposal. From Canberra, political editor Catherine McGrath reports.
On Tuesday night, this group was travelling to Australia but didn't make it far off the coast of the main Indonesian island of Java. Their overcrowded boat broke up. Many have died. The survivors are struggling to understand what has happened and to work out what to do next.
Rescue and evacuation operations were carried out by officials and helped by fishermen. 3 people are dead and we were able to rescue 157 people.
Asylum seekers in Indonesia want to get to Australia, but politicians from both sides are making it harder and harder. In Australia, the federal opposition has released more of its plan on the issue. Tony Abbott is calling the flow of boats to Australia a crisis on Australian borders and a national emergency. He says what's needed is a military approach, and he's calling his concept Operation Sovereign Borders. Under this plan, operational control would go to a 3-star military commander.
This is one of the most serious external situations that we have faced in many a long year. That's why it must be tackled with decisiveness, with urgency, with the appropriate level of seriousness. That's why we need to have a senior military officer in operational control of this very important national emergency.
Under the opposition plan, if they win government, the commander would be appointed by the Chief of the Defence Force and report to the Immigration Minister, in the process leading all government agencies in their involvement in border security. It adds to the current opposition plan that it would turn back boats where it's safe to do so.
Operation Sovereign Borders is about having a clear mission, a clear chain of command and a clear policy framework for doing that.
The opposition is promising it can stop the boats. It's a theme Tony Abbott has consistently campaigned on. Now a former senior soldier and Iraq War veteran has joined his team, advising on asylum disruption policies. Retired Major General Jim Molan says this policy means taking tough action and the military have to be part of it.
Disrupt, deter, detain, intercept, transfer, assess, return, remove and resettle, conducted humanely, legally, often with courage, always with risk, by military, police, customs, officials, intelligence, diplomats and many, many others. Because as we all know so tragically, this is about life and death.
7 boats have travelled into Australian waters in the last week. Official figures indicate 237 boats have arrived this year, with more than 16,500 people on board. There are 7,231 asylum seekers in custody on Christmas Island, on the mainland and on Nauru and Manus Island. The latest boat to arrive has approximately 140 people on board and is making its way now to Christmas Island. The asylum system is in crisis. Riots at the Nauru detention centre closed it down last week. Damage has been estimated at $60 million. On Manus Island, there are new claims that sexual assaults have taken place, and that is currently under investigation.
Well done, Peter.
The government announced last week a radical policy where asylum seekers who arrive by boat are no longer eligible for resettlement in Australia. In a joint announcement with PNG's Prime Minister Peter O'Neill, Prime Minister Rudd said asylum seekers would be sent there for processing.
Asylum seekers taken to Christmas Island will be sent to Manus and elsewhere in Papua New Guinea for assessment of their refugee status. If they are found to be genuine refugees, they will be resettled in Papua New Guinea.
The Department of Immigration has released pictures of asylum seekers now set to be sent to Manus Island. The Immigration Minister has travelled to PNG and declared the Manus Island facility will be suitable.
I have no doubt at all that a processing centre here on Manus can operate, even with a significantly increased capacity, can be operated to the standards that you'd expect.
The government says it'll send 3,000 people there. The Australian Human Rights Commission has criticised the decision and believes it will put Australia in violation of its international human rights obligations. The United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees is examining the policy and hasn't detailed its response.